right, here we have a mathematical expression with a lot of variables. We have w raised to the power of 8 times x raised to the power of negative 3 times y raised to the power of 4 times z squared or z raised to the power of 2 divided by or all over w raised to the power of 5 times x squared or x raised to the power of 2 times y raised to the power of 7 times z raised to the power of 6. And what we want to do is simplify this massive, or what seems to be massive, expression. So how we're going to do this is we're going to break this down. I'm going to go ahead and shade in or color code all of our like terms. My w's, I'm shading in pink or highlighting in pink. My x's, I'm highlighting in blue. And my y's, I'm highlighting in yellow. And lastly, my z's, I'm highlighting in green. So I've color coded everything. That's all set. Now I'm going to break it down even more. So as you can see here, I've divided everything and broken this large fraction up into 4 small parts in relation to each like term variable. So for the first part, I have w raised to the power of 8 divided by or over w raised to the power of 5. Now, I have a video on my channel called the 7 laws of exponents, the 7 rules of exponents. Definitely go ahead and check that video out if you are unfamiliar with the various rules of exponents, because there are a few. In this situation, because we have a fraction with exponents, in order to simplify this fraction or this expression, we are going to be using the quotient rule, which means we're going to take our variables and subtract them. So w raised to the power of 8 over or divided by w raised to the power of 5 is equivalent to w raised to the power of 8 according to the quotient rule, w raised to the power of 8 minus 5. Because according to the quotient rule, we need to be dividing, or not dividing. According to the quotient rule, whenever we have a situation that we're dividing or a fraction, we take those exponents and we subtract them. Now let's see, what is 8 minus 5? We know that 8 minus 5 is 3. So our final answer becomes w cubed, or w to the power of 3. Now we can move on to the next portion of this expression. So moving on, we have x to the power of negative 3 over x to the power of 2. So I'm going to go ahead and write that. Okay, so again, I'm highlighting our exponents because now that we know that we have like terms, we just have to focus on our exponents now. So our exponents are negative 3 and 2, and we have an expression where we are dividing. We have a fraction expression, so we know we're using the quotient exponent rule, which means that we are going to be subtracting our exponents again. So we're going to keep our base the same, x, and we're going to raise that to the power of negative 3 minus 2. So you always subtract the exponent in the numerator by the exponent in the denominator, never the other way around. So also keep that in mind. So we'll have x raised to the power of negative 3 minus 2. And so now we have to think, if we have a negative number, and I also have a video on my channel about adding and subtracting negative numbers using a number line, just to see visually how that looks and how that's represented. So if you're interested in a video like that, definitely go check that out. I'll also link that in the description below. So let's see. So when we have negative 3 and we're subtracting 2, so we have a negative number and we're taking away more, that is going to push us even further on the negative side of our number line, which gets us to negative 5. So whenever we have a variable raised to a negative exponent, if we want to make that exponent or simplify that expression even further by making that exponent positive, we just simply make it into a fraction. So you're going to put 1 over that same expression, except creating that as a fraction makes that exponent positive. So x to the power of -5 is equivalent to 1 over x to the power of 5. Putting that 1 above it just makes that 5 positive, or whatever that exponent is, positive. And so that will be our final answer for this section. So now let's look at our next section. So we have y raised to the power of 4 over y raised to the power of 7. Again, we're using the quotient rule again. And so what we're going to be doing is we're going to be taking our two exponents, so our 4 and our 7, and we're subtracting 4 by 7 because 4 is in the numerator, and we always subtract the exponent that's in the numerator by the exponent that's in the denominator. So when we do that, when we have 4, and we subtract that by 7, because we're subtracting a small number by a bigger number, so we're starting at a smaller number and taking away a number that's greater than that number, we know we're going to get a negative number. So keep that in mind. So we know 4 minus 7 is -3. Yep, and then I'm just noting here, it's always numerator minus denominator. So if you even want to put this in your notes just as a friendly reminder, I definitely would encourage you to do so. But yeah, we have 4 minus 7, and so 4 minus 7 is -3. Although if we had 7 minus 4, we would get 3. So it's a negative because we have a smaller number and we're subtracting a number even greater from it. Hopefully that wasn't confusing. But anyway, we have another situation, again, where we have a negative exponent. So in order to make that exponent positive, we just put 1 over the whole thing, and that makes our exponent positive. So that becomes, or this is equivalent to 1 over y cubed, and that is our final answer for this section. So we are now going to give that a check mark and move on to our final section of simplifying this, and then we can bring it all together and get our final answer. All right, so we have z squared, or z raised to the power of 2, over z to the power of 6. So again, we're taking our numerator, or the exponent in our numerator, which is 2, and we're subtracting that by the exponent in our denominator, which is 6. So we have z to the power, so z squared, or z raised to the power of 2, over z raised to the power of 6 is equivalent, according to the exponent quotient rule, z to the power of 2 minus 6. So z to the power of 2 minus 6 simplifies to, let's see, z raised to the power of -4. We have a -4 in the exponent, so we know we can set that equal, or that's equivalent to 1 over z to the power of 4. So now that we have that for our last part, I'm just going to go through and bubble in all of our answers. So our first answer, we got w cubed, or w to the power of 3, and then we had 1 over x raised to the power of 5, 1 over y cubed, or y to the power of 3, and then 1 over z to the power of 4. So now, when we put that together, let's see what we get. So, I just want to make a note here too and say that whenever we have a whole number, for instance, 4 as a whole number is equivalent to 4 over 1. I might make a video about this, but that's same with any sort of like algebraic or mathematical expression. If it's positive, then, or if it's standing as a whole, we just assume that that's over 1. So for the sake of this, I'm going to write our first term w cubed over 1. And so again, we're multiplying that by our second term, which we determined or evaluated was 1 over x to the power of 5. And then we're going to multiply that again by 1 over y cubed. And then our fourth answer was z raised to the power of 4. So we have this. We're basically about to combine all of this now. So all of our answers multiply together, but now we're going to combine it and write it as one whole fraction. So when we do that, we can ignore the ones now and just write it as w cubed over x to the power of 5 times y to the power of 3, or y cubed times z to the power of 4. So I hope the multiplication signs don't confuse anyone. When we do consolidate everything and put it in as one fraction, the multiplication signs kind of go away, and that's just something you assume, that especially the variables in the bottom are being multiplied by each other, and that's how they're combined. So just keep that in mind. But yeah, that is our final answer. So this is the simplified version of the initial expression that we had in the very beginning. So our final answer is w cubed over x to the power of 5 times y cubed times z to the power of 4. Thanks so much for watching. I'll see you in the next video.
Wait, before you leave, go ahead and check out these lessons up above. You can watch this lesson, or you can watch that one, or you can watch both. Oh, and while you're at it, please do me a huge favor and subscribe to my YouTube channel. You can do so by clicking out of this video and hitting the subscribe button. Thank you so much. Bye.